So the cool and wet weather continues in the UK. It's the 4th of June and the temperatures are probably about 17 degrees, something like that, Celsius. And we've been talking about flying to the pub for a while. We did attempt, there's another video on attempting to go to the pub in Keyston, which we couldn't go to because we got turfed off the land we landed in. So we're going to have another go now and see if we can do it again. And we're going to go off to the Pike and Eel pub near St Ives. So just getting set up now. The pub's not very far away, probably about 10 to 15 miles, something like that. I get off first, followed by Lee, and then a long time after George comes up. Well, I say a long time, maybe 10 minutes later. George catches us up in the end, and there's 2 layers of cloud, and I thought it would be great to just get above the bottom layer and do a bit of flying above the clouds, which I always enjoy. So I'm staying trimmed in, so I'm waiting for the other guys to catch up with me. So leaving my trimmers in, which is slows the wing down. And as you can see, Lee is on his Snake, which is a lot faster than my wing, which is a Dudek Universal. So I decide then to trim out. So here I am putting my trimmers out to catch up with Lee, and run our way. I've seen this before, it's kind of weird. There's a kind of a field of ambulances. It's been there a while now. I saw it a few months ago, so I'm not sure what's happening there. They're waiting for sale or whatever. But anyway, interesting. So we have the marina and the pub in sight. That's it there on the left, just behind those boats there. So Lee does a circuit of the field just to try and find a suitable landing site, and there is a patch of shorter grass in quite long grass. It's kind of knee length. It's also a bit wet because of all the damp weather we've been having. And the winds are light, so probably about 1 mile an hour, something like that. It's going to hit me.
Nice.
So we had a short walk over to the pub and got a drink and had a chat and a drink, and then walked back to the field. Yeah, it was really great to actually successfully land in a field next to a pub and have a drink. So yeah, fantastic. So as I said earlier, the winds are very light, the grass is wet, the grass is long, and sunset is approaching, so this is going to be a challenging launch. Should have brought a windsock.
Well, I would just like to think it's somewhere that direction.
What could possibly go wrong? You got tons of fuel, Jesus. How come you got so much fuel?
Because I didn't really work it out very well after last time when I landed with none.
Oh.
Well, I do badly want to poo.
Go and tuck yourself in the longer grass. We won't video it.
I haven't got the GoPro on, honest.
I am going to struggle for the bum wipe.
No, you can't poo there because we're going to take off here.
I'm not going to fucking poo when you're going to take off.
You're still like you're about to do shit. I could see it a proper off take off last week.
Oi, boys!
These are true aviators just here. We landed in the shortest part of the field with grass. Beautiful.
Sun is setting.
No one knows we're here.
What?
Prop.
So George is going to launch first, and off he goes. And just watching him launch. So he probably wasn't completely centered on his wings, so it's come over to one side. So I kind of walk over there. I've got my engine on my back running, ready to go, but I'm just going to go and help him get set up. Lee comes over as well to help George, so he doesn't have to get his motor off his back and reset up again. So George is all ready to go. While Lee's helping George getting set up, I decide to launch while I'm waiting. So off I go. So I pull the wing up quite hard because it's wet and it's light wind. But the wing was surging, and I got into my seat too early, just a habit I've got into. And unfortunately, as the wing surged forward, I then pendulumed back down into the ground onto my knees. So I was careful to make sure that I was not going to destroy my prop. So anyway, so I picked my wing up and went back, and George has a second attempt as well, and off he goes. So George is up, very nicely done. And then Lee's up now. So Lee very rarely fails a launch, and off he goes. So I'm now just waiting to get set up. Now, as part of this setup, I didn't check the wing fully. I was in a bit of a rush. Now, you'll see what happens in a minute. So I managed to launch okay, but then the wing is pulling to the left, and I'm wondering what the heck is going on. I did check all the lines before I took off, but with the diminishing light and rushing a little bit after my failed launch, something wasn't quite right. So kind of look at the risers, look at the lines, and look up, and I see a cravat at the top there. And so that there is pulling the wing round to the left. So what I'm doing now is getting a little bit of altitude, and then I'm going to pull that cravat out just by pulling on the brake handle, and then it pops out, which is great. And now the wing is flying straight. However, I look over to my right hand side, and I notice that the brake line is tangled around the C and D risers. And I do actually, you'll see in a minute, I do try and pull those out, but I can't free the brake line. So the brake is not actually pulling, luckily for me, on the trailing edge of the wing. If the brake was pulling, then it would put me into a right hand turn. If that had happened, I would have landed immediately and fixed that. But it's not pulling me, and as we have low light, I decide to proceed and just get back to Little Gransden Airfield as quickly as possible and try and deal with the issue when I get there. So you can see there that is not right at all. So cloud level is very low, and so I can't really get very high. So I'm feeling just a little bit nervous. The wing feels perfectly safe and feels perfectly fine and responsive. Tip steering seems to work okay, so I can control the wing perfectly fine. Nevertheless, I do try and, as we get to Little Gransden, pull my trims in and then try and free that brake handle. But it's because of the way I'm sitting, and it's quite high up in my seat, it's quite difficult to actually concentrate on flying the wing, getting in the right direction, avoiding George and Lee. I don't want to have a mid-air collision. So I don't want to focus too much on freeing the brake line, but I do have a quick little go at trying to release it, but it just won't come out. So I'm thinking to myself, what I'm going to have to do is land with the brake line stuck. So what that might mean is coming in for a landing with one brake. So what I might have to do is do a kind of like a hook turn, left turn landing. So I make sure that I don't have any obstacles to my left. So what I'm doing here is, there's the airfield down below us. I'm going to head over to the right hand side and then do a left turn, and then flare with both, try and pull the right hand side as much as I can. There's not much movement in there. And if I plough in and land on my knees or whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'll turn my engine off and pull both brakes, and if I do a left turn I'll end up in the long grass, which should be nice and soft. I'll have my engine off anyway and all should be well. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, seemed to land okay, so all good. I didn't pull the left handle too much, so I came in for a bit of a fast landing. Managed to get a bit of authority on the right hand side and landed on my feet, so all ended well. It's a bit of a relief, if I'm honest. So hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.